I'm back.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. And so for today, we're going to be talking about how Christianity better our relationship. And if you guys want to see that, just keep on watching.
Alright guys, so we're here today to actually talk about the difference between having Jesus, God in your life, through an argument between you and your spouse compared to not having him. And during this time when we first met, we were both have not been baptized. We weren't Christian yet. I was an atheist, and she was Catholic. And our arguments were pretty bad because a lot of stuff was involved, alcohol and things like that. You know, the things you do when you are young. And during those times when we argue, arguments could last for weeks, sometimes 2 weeks, causing, family problems too around us. Acting in front of our acting out in front of our families.
Yeah, it's no self-control.
Correct, no self-control, and the difference between having God, which actually teaches you about patience, looking in the situation in a different perspective than just looking in your way when you didn't have Him.
Yeah, so pretty much we were blinded.
Correct.
Like, it's crazy how our arguments from the past, how it was and how it is now. Like, don't get me wrong, we still argue like really bad sometimes, but it's not like crazy where we get so blinded for days and days and then we just go into like a deep depression. Or not depression, right? But like it's a very bad arguments from the past. Like we involve our families, and not just emotionally but physically too. So that's the difference compared to having God now in our lives. And how we argue now is I put God in the middle of our argument, in what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start off with my problem at first when I used to argue with her. I wasn't a good man before, so I had to gain her trust. Because I was basically a cheater or a player, and for me to find her, she knew about my past. I told her everything about my past, so gaining her trust was one of those things. Basically doing whatever she asked, pleasing her at all times, satisfying her at all times, and while I was doing all that, proving the point that she is the only one for me. There is times when we argue, and I use that as a weapon against her, which is not right. I usually, when we argue, I was like, I do all these things, this and that, and how can you not love me? How can you be mad at me? Why can't you be lenient with me? And God taught me that wasn't the way to do it, because you do good things not to expect things back.
Yes.
So that's how I understand it. God, did miracles. Jesus did miracles when He was around, and He did a lot of things. He didn't boast about it. He, it's the same thing. There's a reason why He got hanged on the cross. He could have not be hanged on the cross, but He chose to, because He humbled Himself. And if this is the way they think, but the way He loves, He didn't expect love back. And so that's how I learned to love my wife and her right now, is to love her and do things. And when things do come up, don't use it as a weapon against her. If you know you have a good woman next to you or a good man next to you, nobody's blind enough not to see that what you're doing. But during that moment of argument, using that will just put more anger to the other person that is mad at you right at that point. So as I was saying, unconditional love is doing things without expecting anything back. I'm not going to help a homeless expecting something back. I'm not going to bless somebody and expect God to give me something. That's just not how you should live. You should do things out of your own heart without expecting anything back. So during our arguments, like I said, I always use that as an advantage. You don't love me, you don't appreciate me, I do all these things and you get this mad over this thing that I did. And it's just not the way to solve a problem. That actually add more to it. And me realizing that is why what I say extends the argument for so long too, because I keep on going and I don't want to understand her feelings. I just want her to understand me. I do all this and that. I'm tired. That's why I made a mistake. There's no reason for you to make a mistake. Just accept it, move on with it, and don't use the things you've done in the past to justify the mistake that you have. Don't be justifying your mistakes. I always done that with with her. But when I met God and I read through the scriptures, I learned to humble myself. I learned to be more patient. When she gets mad, sometimes a girl needs to vent. I let her vent, and I walk out and I pray.
But
and
not perfect.
not
Like we
perfect.
just
I'm
had
not perfect.
an argument not too long ago.
Yeah, we had an argument.
God is still in the middle of everything. During our arguments, because if it wasn't for him, like, yeah, it would have been bad already. Like sometimes, like when we argue, like he has to like really calm down and go outside and talk to God. And then once he talks to God, he comes back to me, like he realizes things, not like before, not like in the past when we argue, like it continues and it gets worse and worse. So now our arguments is pretty much like it gets lesser. There's more understanding to it because he goes to God, he talks to him, and I talk to him too. And then like in our head, in our mind is still God, even though we were arguing. So that's the main thing, that how Christianity, how God, how Jesus pretty much changing our lives, our relationship for the better from our arguments and just relationship, just talking to each other.
Right. And patience takes you a long way in a relationship. Like patience is like I could preach on that for hours. Patience is when she gets mad, and sometimes we're too fast to react. You have to have the patience to wait the right time to speak or the right time to talk. Patience also teaches you how to be calm. So sometimes when we argue, I do walk out. And when I walk out, I pray to Jesus. I call upon him and see what he would do. And, obviously during that time I call upon him, I immediately calm down. And when I calm down, I start seeing things. I start understanding. I start seeing what went wrong and how it went wrong. But obviously I don't come back and try to throw at her, what I think. Obviously I still got to wait until she calms down because, the fire is already lit, and you kind of have to let that fire kind of go out by itself. When you try to water it, you're kind of forcing her to be okay. When sometimes people just gotta have that days where they're not okay and kind of let it out, and you just be there and encourage and understand their feelings. And understand we are man. I understand sometimes we work hard and we do a lot of things, but at the same time, emotionally, your wives or your girlfriends or your spouse, your partner, they tend to have more emotional impact than us. We're just more physical.
I guess you guys are just simple. Guys
Yeah,
are just simple.
we're really simple.
Yeah.
So in the Bible it tells you that the man has the authority spiritually and should be stronger. And so during this time when they're down, we have to be stronger and not fall into the devil's trap and react to the wrong way. We have to be calm and be patient, like how Jesus would do it during his situation when he had to explain and how he talked to his people. And we just have to guide them the right way. We can't always react. And I feel like I relate me and my wife's relationship like me and my Father in heaven. We always turn our back against him sometimes. We always sin. We always fall. We always forget to pray to him. We only pray to him when we need him. We only call for him when we need him. And I kind of think of my relationship with her as like me, like Jesus and me. It's just he's always forgiving me. He's always patient with me. He's always waiting for me to come back. And when I do come back, he always blesses me. And that's what I want to be for my wife. Not to always, I don't use things against her. I'm not going to use her sin against her. I shouldn't be doing that. I should be praying for her and calling to God and pray for her to Jesus, then try to bash her about her sins, about what she's doing wrong and what I'm doing, when Jesus never did that to us. I mean, you really think about it. We could come as we are. No matter how much we sin, if we repent, he forgives us. That's how we should be to our spouses, And obviously there's going to be one person stronger than another emotionally at the moment. And if you're that stronger person, you have to be patient. You have to save her. You have to not attack her sin for sin, not attack her when she's yelling. I should be yelling. No, it shouldn't be like that. So that's what I've learned is patient. Jesus had patience waiting for us. He waited for me for almost 20 years for me to finally come. He waited for my grandma to come to him for almost 58 years. So and he was there with open arms, unconditionally loving us no matter what we have done and no matter what we have sinned and who we have may hurt. So that's how I should be for my wife.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for God, we wouldn't last this long because of all the arguments we had from the past. And now it is a lot, like it's crazy because like we never really like separated or broke up, no matter how
She
hard.
tried. I was just,
No matter
way
how
too good.
no matter how hard the argument or how crazy the argument, like I guess God was there even from the beginning of our relationship. Without God, like He kept us together, but now it's a lot stronger. Like with the arguments, there's more understanding. That's the only thing that I love about like how Jesus changed or better our arguments, you know. So that's how Christianity better our arguments, is by understanding each other more and like having God in your mind, even though you guys are arguing or fighting, especially when you guys have kids. Like it's just
Oh yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when we have kids, and it's funny because when we argue, she likes to pretend she's leaving. Okay, it's too funny, you know. And then she'll
I
text me
think
while
there's other girls out there that does that too, not
she'll
just
pretend
me, right?
I'm leaving.
And
I'm
then-
done talking to you, and I don't want to talk to you ever again. You're a horrible husband, a horrible person. So I'll stop texting, and then I'll get a text later of more hate. And it's funny because if you're really gonna leave somebody, you're gonna leave. You don't really, but she keeps bugging and bugging. It's just too funny. But anyways, through our relationship, like I said, we've been through a lot.
Yes.
Arguments, fights, physically. I mean, I never personally hit her. Okay, I might have accidentally like pushed her away from scratching me, and she fell and bruised herself. Okay, but I personally never touched her. Okay, she thinks differently, but I never touched her. Okay, it's just getting her away from me so I don't get scratches on my chest. You know,
but arguments, you cannot avoid arguments in relationships. Like, I don't know who's perfect out there. Like that doesn't have any arguments, but it's the only difference is how a person or a couple handles the arguments. I guess for me and him, because of our past, we have a very violent past. So that's why our argument is very aggressive and violent. But then, if it wasn't for God, like I guess, like I don't know, it will be a lot crazier. Like we would have been together at all.
I could tell you this: me and her, I'm pretty sure we don't know how many times we thought about like, you know what, God, I can't deal with this no more. That's it, no more. And we don't. But then every single time I do that, I feel like God just slapped me in the back of the head. Like, what are you thinking? I put you guys two together, you know. And
then plus it says in the Bible that we cannot I cannot divorce him. No, I'm just kidding.
She tried, but I know she had no guts.
No, I'm just kidding. So that's the only thing that's stopping me. No, I'm just kidding. It's the Bible. The Bible is stopping me to divorce him. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. I love you.
When the camera's off, my hands are on you. No, but yeah, like I said, Jesus has been great. You know, reading the Bible really makes a big difference. Not just hearing the preachers, you know. And I love it too because every time we go on, for some reason, every time we have a bad argument, you know, I know going to church is going to fix everything. I just know it.
And it teaches us a lesson.
Yeah.
Like we move on right away from our arguments, but then we learn a lot from it. You know, not like before, like when we argue, it keeps happening. You know what I mean?
Jesus is
like,
everywhere.
because we don't think of our arguments before. Like we just fight and then we never learn from it. We never grow from it until now. You know,
So like a lot of people that we fellowship with in the same, you know, in the brothers and sisters in under Jesus, they helped us a lot through it. You know, shout out to Steve, Adam, you know, Spring Church, the Resolution Ministry. They helped us a lot through our relationship and guided us through it. And it was tough, but it's crazy because every time we argue and Sunday comes around, and for some reason I always know bringing her to church, she's gonna forgive me, or we're gonna forgive the situation, and we're gonna talk about it.
It's really good to include God or Jesus in your relationship.
Sure.
Jesus should be the one that is in between of you guys. You know, because the center of it. Yeah, because like, and then our pastors really help us, like Steve, with our like just our relationship. Like he even came to our house at night with his son just to talk to us about our finances, or like how we should join together. And then once we did that, what he said,
joint account,
that's everything is just a lot better. Our relationship is a lot better. I know for some people they don't like to do joint account because it just makes their relationship a lot worse. I don't know, but for us, it's just made it a lot
It
better.
made it a lot better.
You know, and then that's because of the help of our pastor.
We're not here to say who makes more money. We have the same account now, paying bills with the same account.
One.
Yeah, we're one. And you know, people helping is fine, but it's really good if you are a believer. Relationship should be helped biblically. So I really truly believe that.
Yes.
And if it's not biblically, then if it's not in the Bible, if it's not God's word, then you got to look into it, because the way Jesus died for us and the love that He's given us, the way like He always says, love people like how He loves us. You know, love people like how He loved me. So it's the same example. Love your wife like Jesus loves you. So don't act upon sin. Don't act on anger. Don't act on discomfort, or you know, always compromise about everything, and always, you know, be calm. And if one person's mad, walk away. You know, Jesus always does that with us.
It will just make your relationships and arguments a lot, like,
every time.
Not arguments stronger. I mean, your relationship will be a lot stronger with your spouses.
And I really believe Jesus is my father. So, for example, he let me make my mistake. You know, every time I go do something, or I say something bad, or whatever I do, He doesn't stop me right away and force me and punish me. No. But because the love that I know He has for me, that I realize that mistake myself. So that's how my wife is too. So even though she gets mad, she's venting and she's saying words that she shouldn't be saying and everything, but because I love her unconditionally and I didn't push her, she will come around and realize, like how we realize Jesus' love for us.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, it's crazy because I just thought of it right now too. Like, when we argue, like, it's crazy because, like, if we, for example, he's downstairs, he's giving me time to, like, be myself, because I tell him not to be with me, and then I'll be up here, and then, like, he will be realizing things while I'm up here realizing things too.
Correct.
You know, it's just crazy how God, your spouse don't even have to talk to you, because God will talk to your spouse. You know, he will open up your spouse's mind and head, like, oh, what I did wrong, or what he did wrong, and that's when you come back to each other, and that's when everything is just better. Like, you know. So
that was just an example. I like to relate my relationship like the relationship I have with Jesus. How He forgave me, how He has mercy on me, how He blesses me, how He loves me is the exact way I should love my wife. You see, because like I said, if you're doing really good for somebody, especially for your wife or your husband, and if you have to label it during an argument, if you have to mention the things you have to do good, there is something wrong with you, not actually the person. Because if I'm the one who's telling my wife, oh, I've been doing this for you, I've done this, I've done that, I've cleaned. Look, if you married her for a reason, you have to understand the love was there. And especially with God in the middle, nobody is blind enough not to see the good that you are doing. There is no point of mentioning it. When you mention it, you just make her feel like you really think I'm that, you know, blind. You know, you really, you know, I don't want to say the D word, but, you know, you really think I'm that blind. You know, it just kind of aggravates the person more. You know, I mean, can you imagine somebody telling you something that you already know during an argument? It kind of aggravates you.
Or like accusing, kind of. Like accusing of, like, oh, you're not understanding, or you're not appreciating me, or something like that. Yeah, because we just had that.
Yeah, we just had that situation.
And we learned, like, that's the good thing about having Jesus in during arguments. You know, it will wake you up and, like, slap you in the head.
I wouldn't say slap. It'll be like
just kidding. A wake-up call.
A holy ghost that goes inside your heart, and then it just expands your flesh outwards. You know, but God is really good. And if you,
so no matter how many arguments we had, it's okay. It's okay.
Well, I'll tell you this though: the way we would used to be, you know, it'll go on for weeks.
Yeah,
we will argue on for weeks, and the way we handle things is kind of let it die out.
Yeah,
you know, it never solved the problem. We don't talk about it. We kind of let it die out, and obviously
pretend like everything is back to normal. And then what happens is, I tend to, like, hold it in, and then the next argument, it will come back.
It'll come out, and then it's more of a grudge attack now.
Yeah.
So the way we were before, like I said, I mean, my chest would be bleeding. You know, cars would be crashed. You know what I mean? Me trying to attack her family. So, like,
oh my gosh, if we talk about it, everything from our past, you guys will not even believe how God turned 360.
She fell out the car.
Shut up.
You know, and then I cracked my, you know, just broke my windows.
Next
like,
time, we
oh,
tell
okay.
our
But
story
anyways,
little by little. They'll get to know us.
so the topic is patience.
No,
Okay.
not patience.
Oh. How
Christianity better our arguments.
Yeah, better our argument.
So.
And one of them was Christianity bringing patience to us.
Yeah,
Jesus giving us the patience.
Yeah, and just realizing things right away.
Oh man, it was bad.
So,
you know, we used to argue in front of Zane, which is our son, which is about to be 4, and it was crazy, you know. But like I said,
now it's a lot better than.
If you guys believe in Jesus, if you guys know, or if you guys know the things that He's done, if you don't believe but knows, because everybody knows about Jesus, everybody knows who Jesus is. It doesn't matter if you believe He's real or not. You know the story and of what He has done on that cross. And if you relate that love that He has for the people, He even forgave the people that put Him on that cross. So how are you not able to forgive your wife or your husband during an argument? You know, they didn't, you know, so I kind of relate
Jesus
everything.
Jesus will keep your relationship closer together.
He will humble you because you're not that tough, because Jesus is tough. He loved us when He got nailed to the cross.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, that's what we want to share with you guys today. We just really wanted to talk about this. Well, I've been wanting to talk about this, but how Jesus will better your arguments, your relationship. So we just wanted to share how Jesus is so good and how it can change your life
all the time. Jesus is the way and the only way. Yes. Through your relationship, your finances, through this crisis, through anything, He is the way.
He's so good. God is good.
Correct.
Jesus is good. So yeah, if you guys like this kind of videos, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below what else you guys want to see from me or from us,
or advice, or any questions about a relationship,
or about life. Yeah, because until now, we're not gonna lie, we're still changing. Change doesn't happen one night. Like, you know,
she just gave me the scar today. No, I'm sorry.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, you know, superstar doesn't. What was that? I don't know, but like, it doesn't happen overnight or something like that.
Overnight celebrity.
Yeah, it's not like that, you know. So it's kind of like that. Like, change doesn't happen overnight.
Correct.
So until now, like, doing these videos, it keeps us motivated to change better, actually. Correct. Because like whatever we talk about with you guys, we apply it for ourselves as well. So that's why I love doing this kind of videos, because it reminded us of how we should be, or how, you know, how we should act, because we're already sharing this. Why shouldn't we do it for ourselves too? You know what I mean? So that's why I love doing this video. So if you guys love this, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you guys will get all the latest videos right in your inbox. That was a lot of talking, but okay guys, bye bye.